What is up, go-getters? Welcome to this video. Today I want to share something that is very transparent with you. I want to let you in a little bit more. I want to talk to you about why I quit my high-ticket coaching business and I started from scratch. A few people have asked me about it, so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a video, a down-to-earth video where I'm talking to you about what my reasons were for quitting the coaching business I had, that I had worked long and hard for, and for starting from scratch. So if you're new here, my name is Dallas Gordon. I'm a business coach, marketing strategist, and power seller. And I am on a mission to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs to create purposeful and joyful businesses as well. So guys, maybe a couple of years ago, I took a hiatus, pretty much a year-long hiatus from my coaching business, where I wasn't coaching anybody. I didn't have any group programs or anything like that. And I had worked long and hard to build my authority, to build my influence, to gain trust of my audience. And I was at a point where I had a thriving membership, and I also had a thriving high ticket coaching business that I was really proud that I had built, where I never was really out of clients. I was just coaching people all year long. But I realized that some things were broken in my business. Maybe some things were broken in me, okay, that I needed to take a back seat and evaluate. And I really didn't have any joy in my business. I really wasn't happy. And I definitely felt like something was missing. So I needed to take a back seat and kind of just see what was going on with me. So that's what I did. I closed my membership. After I was finished working with my last clients, I closed down my coaching business as well. And I just kind of went in. Now, I did have thriving product-based businesses. So that's why I could take this hiatus that we're still doing really, really well, that didn't require the same energy. So I did still have businesses in place. So I just didn't quit to do nothing. But I did definitely take a hiatus from my coaching business. So one of the reasons why I took a hiatus and quit my coaching business was because I looked up one day and realized that I had spent years just sacrificing myself, sacrificing my family relationships, sacrificing some of the time that I needed to be spending with my children and things like that for this business. And I looked around, and while I had money to show for some of it, I didn't have as much money as I felt like was worth me having jeopardized or sacrificed some relationships that I had in my life. So when I went into my business, and most of us do this, we go into our business and we say what our why is and why we start. But then as we go on, we tend to neglect the very people that we told ourselves we were doing it for. And to a certain degree, that's what I was doing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on the worst end of the stick. So I've never been, for the duration of me running my business for the last 11 years, I've never been the type of person that just totally throws my family away for a business, or I totally neglect my children and stuff to run a business. I've never been that person, but I have been a person though that there have been plenty of days where I work a little too hard, a little too long, where I'm ignoring or where I'm moody because I've worked all night. And when I looked over my business, I was like, this is great and all, but this isn't worth some of the sacrificing that I've done. So I had a lot of questions around, has this been worth it? So that was one of the reasons why I needed to take a break. Another thing is that, guys, I was in this really unhealthy burnout cycle where I was working hard for months at a time, hard. Back in the day, I was a person that I was launching a new course every 2 weeks. It was 2 different courses or ideas. And if it could be weekly, it was weekly. It was just bam, bam, bam. I was just teaching a lot of classes all the time, creating a lot of products, creating constantly, to the point that, I would quickly burn out. So I would run like that for probably 2 months, and then I would run out and I would burn out. And for another 2 months, I really wouldn't be that consistent with my audience, because I'd be really turned off with the process. And then I would go back into it again, and then I would stop, and then I would do it again. And I was also in a really unhealthy cycle as far as my mental health as well, because when things didn't go the way that I planned And you may be able to relate to some of this. Definitely don't leave me hanging. Let me know in the comments if you can relate to some of this. But like, if I didn't hit my goals the way that I envision myself hitting my goals, I would also be very disappointed and frustrated with that as well. So I would go into these mood swings as well, where if my launch didn't go well, or if enough people didn't show up, but a lot of people signed up, or there were just different points in my business where I felt like a failure. And when I felt that way, I would just like be depressed, like I would be really down. And I'm pretty much like overall like a pretty happy, upbeat person. So when I'm not being myself, and my family knows, I have a really strong energy. So when my energy is off, my kids can really sense it. My mom knows, everybody in my house, my husband knows, everybody knows when I'm off. I was off more times than I was on, and it was really starting to take a toll on my family. And I never forget the hard conversation I had with my husband, where he was just like, if this is how you're going to be while running this business, I think you need to step away. And I'm like your biggest supporter. But if you're going to be on this roller coaster of emotions and just always be uptight and this roller coaster of being depressed, he's like, I can't support you continuing to do something to yourself that is harming yourself. So I was just in a really unhealthy burnout, mood swing, disappointment cycle, where I had so many high highs and so many low lows. And I was like, this just isn't how I want to live my life, not for a business. So that was another thing reason I separated myself. I wasn't being fully myself. That's another thing too. There were certain parts of myself that I felt like needed to be divided. So like now in my business, I am motivator. I am spiritual coach. I am, also a very technical coach as well, where I can teach you how to, start your ads or start your Etsy store, whatever you need to do. And I'm also very much heavy into the inner work, right? And I am embracing all of those parts of me. So when people see my success, it's been all of those many different parts of me that have made me successful, not just one part. So I used to feel like I had to divide myself, or I had to water myself down for people to accept me. I used to feel like I had to be a certain person for people to accept me or be a certain way. And I just found myself so far from who I am that I was like, I need to call time out here, because I don't even know who the hell I am. I don't know who I'm being. And that was like where I was at. Like I was trying to do everything perfectly and just be so professional and not share certain things or whatever, not talk about certain things, because I didn't know how people would receive me, and always second guessing myself and things like that. And I was like, this is also not healthy for me. So I need to really take a back up. I need to take some back steps. I needed to learn myself. And during that time, I found human design. And let me just tell you guys, human design is an amazing tool. Some people don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. Like there are other ways to get to know yourself. But I found human design when I was just like literally like falling apart, because I did not understand who I was. And what happens as business owners when we don't understand who we are, we start to be like really, really hard on ourselves, beat ourselves up internally for not being what we see someone else being. So there are some business leaders, some of my colleagues or people in my same circles who are like machines. They can launch every single month and think nothing of it and not take a hit. I mean, I'm not with them in their home, so I don't know what they actually go through it behind the scenes with it. But I'm thinking that that's just the energy that they have and the way that they're made up. If I were to do that every single month, I'd be curled up in a ball because of the way I'm set up. I absorb people's energy very easily, right? So I can't constantly be with people like that all the time. Launching constantly, I can't be putting on that kind of workload constantly. I'm a person that needs a lot of time to charge up and just to be to myself. And that is literally how I'm made up. So prior to human design, I had a lot of inner hate speech going on, a lot of stuff that I just didn't like about myself, and I was beating myself up about it, and I considered myself lazy and a whole lot of other stuff and just not capable. And when I found human design, that just made everything make more sense. And so that's why in the Purpose Driven Business Collective, I help my clients using a tool like that, so that because the best thing you can do is really get to know yourself so that you can unapologetically show up. Now, unapologetically showing up for an audience isn't just showing up relentlessly, no matter what. No, it's about not being apologetic for who you are when you show up. right? So really embracing every part of yourself when you show up. I get to be, fun. I get to be boring. I get to be spiritual. I get to be technical. I get to be a hot, beautiful mess and still be okay and still be able to sell and still be able to love myself, right? And embrace who I am. And so do you. Yeah, I needed to take a back seat to really get to know myself. And I'm going to be honest, human design isn't just like you learn yourself and then you're able to integrate it right away. It can take years for people to integrate it because you have to now learn a new way of being. And some of the stuff that you have been doing, it does require some unlearning that stuff because you've been doing it for so long that it becomes a habit. I have a really good support system, especially certain friends that I can call on when I'm stuck and I'm feeling like I'm going back to my old ways now. And I have some friends who are like, come on, you know that this is how your energy is set up and how you're supposed to be. And that's been super helpful in my journey as well, to have really great friends and partners in life and things like that. That's really, really good because you need that support system, right? You need that place where people understand you and people can bring you back to your senses and things like that, So I'm still integrating a lot of that stuff from my human design and learning how a new way of being. So with all of that said, guys, my business lacked joy. A lot of the tasks that I was doing in my business, the way that I was coaching all year long, was not best fit for my personality. I work much better when I coach in groups. I'm very selective about one-on-one clients. I don't have a lot of extra time these days to take on one person. If I do, it's definitely high ticket because it does take a lot of my energy to work with one person. And I was doing that all year long, like working with 3 people one-on-one at a time all year, or including my group program. And guys, it just was not a good fit for my energy. So some of the tasks I was doing in my business, like the way I was launching and what parts of it I was involved in, it was draining me. How often I was doing that was draining me. So I think it's just about identifying like, okay, this is who I am and these are the tasks that work for me. Okay, let me consistently do these tasks. It's not so much I have to do this the way she does that, or I have to do it the way he does that in order to be successful. No, I don't think so. I think it's more about what can I do? What does work for me? And actually working that consistently. Okay? Because I think that a lot of us are afraid that if we don't do it the way someone told us to, it's not going to work. But the main problem with a lot of us is consistency. We don't show up consistently enough to know whether something works or not. So yeah, my business just lacked joy, and it was just a lot of the tasks in my business that were draining me. Some of them I needed to automate, some I needed to delegate, some I just needed to just get rid of altogether. And I need to just figure myself out with that. And I'm still figuring myself out, and I probably always will be. You know what I mean? But yeah, nobody's ever going to have it all figured out. And that's just the crazy thing about life. So the faster we accept that, the better off we'll be. So I was building things that others said was best. So I was building my business and the business models I had in a way that other people came along and said was best for me to build my business, like high ticket. I believe in definitely charging a good amount. Like I'm definitely not a real low ticket person, but I'm not a high ticket person either. I just didn't have it in my heart to any longer be charging a small business owner X amount of dollars. That just wasn't for me. And when you're not in alignment with what you're doing, it can be really off for you. It can feel really off for you. And I don't think it's fair to you or your clients when you're not aligned with what it is that you're offering. And no, it's not because I was scared to sell or because I don't value myself, but it's just certain pricing points I did not feel good about charging small business owners, right? So it was just a lot of the things I was doing in my business that I no longer felt aligned with. There are even some things morally and ethically that I don't feel should be done. Certain persuasion tactics, things like that, certain lies a lot of us tell to make sales, to pressure people into buying with you. I don't buy into any of it now. So even if it takes me a longer cycle to gain a client, I swear I'm not going to get on this video. I'm not going to go live. I'm not going to send emails that are going to pressure or browbeat anybody into doing anything with me. I feel like my ideal clients are smart enough to know when something is right for them and when they're ready to take action. And I can't accelerate that process, nor do I want to, and nor do I want clients that come out of accelerating that process. That's where I am with that, is that some of the things I was doing just wasn't ethical to me. I was just doing what I was told to do. And that didn't feel good either. So that's another reason why. And then last, guys, I wasn't fully caring for myself. I wasn't living for myself. I feel like, I know you guys have heard the saying before that you can't pour from an empty cup. How in the world can you show up powerfully and serve other people if you are not serving yourself? Like right now, I'm on like a whole cleanse as to where like my eating is better. I make sure I work out every day. I make sure that I'm doing certain things for myself to make sure that I'm at the most healthy, beautiful version of myself. And then I can offer myself to you. Then I can offer my services to you. But when I have not made myself available for myself first, that's not going to work. And it's the same goes for you. Like some of you guys you may not be taking time for yourself, but yet you're out here running a business and you're wondering why things aren't going so well. Well, you have to prioritize you. You are the prize. You have to pour into yourself first. And then whatever overflows is what goes to other people. So that's all I am going to say on this topic. I would definitely love to get your feedback. How is it going for me now? Some days it's kind of challenging because I did give up a lot. I gave up my entire business. I walked away from my entire coaching business for a good amount of time. And now I'm building it from scratch. So some days it's harder than others. Of course, I did gain some of my previous clients and things like that, but my messaging, my energy, everything about me is different. And so it has its highs and lows. However, I'm at peace. I have joy. I'm happier as a result of making that move, right? So that is worth so much. I have way more time for my family after making that move. I think I'm way more powerful after making that move. And so, yes, if you are feeling led to take the same path, it won't be 100% easy, but it may be necessary for you because life is definitely about living, guys, not doing things to suffocate ourselves and to suck all the joy and energy from ourselves. It's just not worth it. So that's my thoughts on that. And I would love to hear yours. Thank you so much for listening to my story, guys, and be blessed.